got some activity here this morning. Grant's on the excavator backfilling. We got Mike, he's pumping out the old tank. We got Neiman down here, he's jetting around the tanks. And I'm just about to get started on setting these riser sections for the balancing valves and purge ends. And I got the water trailer here. Gonna wet this thing down a little bit so it's not a dust storm, and start pushing this dirt and covering over the mound while these guys manage this other backfilling work over here. Grant will get the trench done, and then he'll start working on backfilling around the tanks. So let's get to it. So now what I have to do before I get too carried away and start setting those risers, I'm gonna pop the form boards out.
And we gotta watch this pipe now. We'll get to that.
So the next thing I'm going to do is level out this aggregate right here a little bit for the riser section that we're going to set over these valves. And I have my laser set for top of rock, which was the same elevation as the top of that form board and the top of this sand shoulder out here. So once that riser's set, it'll be meeting the requirements for the soil cover at the top of the mound, which is 18 inches. So I'm just gonna shuffle some gravel around real quick, test fit that riser over here, and make sure the top of that riser is nice and level. Okay, so here's how that's gonna look. and real easy to do a squirt later on with a drilled cap if somebody wants to purge and adjust the system. Real easy to purge it. Purges right back into the box or the riser, and it's going to drain down very easily through that aggregate. A lot of details for Mound balancing valves and purge ends show clover leaf screen blocks with like pea gravel in and around the blocks, so that when you're purging, that water will drain down through. I find that the blocks are unnecessary. If the blocks were designed to support the boxes, I somewhat understand that. However, once you backfill around this, and even as it is right now, I could probably jump up and down on top of that and it's not going to move. Especially when I get dirt locked in around the ribs on that riser. That riser is not going anywhere. It's not going to go down or up or sideways. It's going to be staying put, and makes for a really nice enclosure. Just unnecessary to set concrete blocks down in the aggregate. This makes it more efficient and more well drained. So we'll go ahead and set those other ones over there, but in the meantime, let's go check how Grant's doing up top. He's demoing the old septic tank. Okay, Grant's hard at it here. This tank in here, it's not that old of a tank. There's a lot of rebar in it. I would call it a late model tank, even though it was probably made in the 90s. I'd still consider that pretty new. And certainly much older tanks break up a lot easier, but when you look at this house, you think, man, it must be a really old tank. Maybe even a redwood box. You see a lot of those out here on the Pacific Coast side, a lot of redwood. So a lot of septic tanks were made out of redwood in this area. But this one happens to be concrete and has quite a bit of rebar in it. So we'll get this thing broken out of here for the owner. 8-ton excavator's doing pretty good. It up. All right, let's get back down and set the rest of these boxes. Every time you pull out a set of plans, you know what happens, right? The wind picks up. That's all right though. So I'm just gonna cut across in this. And we're gonna pull this down over. You can hold that side for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back just with some baling wire. I'm going to hold these corner pieces up just a tiny bit and run some baling wire all the way around the riser and then twist it off. Baling wire will rust and fall apart in a few years, but just for the sake of getting dirt around this riser, that'll prevent dirt from getting past the filter fabric and maybe showing up along the edge of the riser where it meets the gravel bed. So we'll finish placing this fabric and get a couple strips of baling wire around that. Well, I don't know what happened to my baling wire, but we're going to use the next best thing. That's duct tape, which, like I said, it doesn't have to last long. It just has to keep this fabric basically right here until I get all the dirt around it. Yeah, that should be good. Without water, this dirt will turn into moon dust. So it's really key to get a little bit of water in there so that we're not making a big dust storm in the neighborhood and it doesn't completely turn into flour. So during the first inspection, the engineer and I dug a couple profile holes in this area, and so I'm stripping the grass off of it, and this is where we're going to doze up the dirt for covering the mound. We need about 300 to 400 cubic yards, so should be a big enough area for us to do that. Day 2 of mound backfill time and soil generation time. Grant's down there. He's been here this morning for a little bit, scooping up the strippings off the end of that field right there, moving it down below into the pasture where the homeowner wants it. And I just had to replace the pull cord on that Honda water pump, and now I'm up in action. I got a draft hose in the tank, got that puppy set up out of the way, and this dirt's super bone dry. So we're going to try to get some water in it, mix it back and forth, push it around a little bit, and hopefully there's enough water here in this well to keep this dirt moist today, and we'll start placing that dirt over the mound. Let's get after it. dusty out there. Oh man. That's a little bit better. I try to keep these tractors clean on the inside when I can. Got a little window of opportunity to get a little more backfill around these septic tanks. Grant's moving this last little pile of strippings out there, and I really want him to be on that water buffalo spraying that dirt while I'm pushing it around so we can get that water mixed into there. So while he's moving those strippings, I'd jump on the excavator here and throw some material back around this tank. Bucket up really high when you're backfilling around the tank, you know. Keep it way up here, so when you're dumping, you're not like gonna curl out into the riser. There's no sense in being low, you know, really. Haven't had that issue since then, but I always think about Ryan when I'm backfilling around a septic tank. It's like an impossible thing not to think about. Alright, so I got some more dirt around that. I might throw a couple more scoops over here. One more right here, dress this up a little bit. earlier. But he wasn't working for our company at the time. He was working for Salvage Concrete Products, the precast company, making septic tanks, and he was a delivery driver for him. So he'd be out in the delivery truck, and he would come out and set our septic tanks. Him and Poncho, and I think he's like 10 or more years older than me, but he's kind of like a big brother to me. Decided to come work with me. I don't know why, but he did. And he's just a great guy. Selfless, always doing something for somebody else, whether it's me or his wife or mother-in-law or whoever. Hardly ever spends a dime on himself. Always working. Always shows up to work early. Always has the same lunch pail. Always has a thermos full of coffee, which I enjoy once in a while. And has a lot of skills too. So he welds, he drives our transfer truck, does metal fabrication, does maintenance on equipment. And I think when you're a small company like this, you know, just like a guy like me where you have just a few employees, having a guy like Grant is just really great. You know, just, you need that kind of gentleman that, or woman, that can bring a lot to the table and just show up to work every day and get the job done. So thank you, Grant. Great to have you on the team. Probably don't say it enough, but riser's in there somewhere. I should probably uncover it before I break it. Okay, well, got that done. He's almost done with the strippings. Probably hop on the dozer here in a second and start mixing that big pile of dirt over there. I got the water buffalo connected to the water tank here at the property, so hopefully the well can keep up with things today. Doing here is Grant's moving the soil down. He's starting to build his way out here on top of the mound, trying to keep over a foot of soil under his tracks. And Sean and I were placing some dirt around this riser. This is a purge end, and the idea is just to get that dirt around that riser right now by hand, get it really locked in, because we don't want to place dirt right up against it with the skid steer. It could shift that riser piece over or knock it out of level. So it's always good to take a little extra time and get this part done by hand. Looks like somebody's getting some trees delivered. I don't think to here though. Grant's doing a good job building his pad out there onto the mound. It's definitely thicker than it needs to be, but the idea is just to move as much dirt as we can right now with that skid steer while I'm still generating dirt over there, and then I'll get up on there with the dozer and knock it down. So speaking of which, I gotta start generating some more dirt, it looks like here. To those stakes than that looks perfect right there, and just maybe come down my way where it's still kind of built up there.
Okay. Is that about the right depth?
Yeah, that depth is good right there. Thank you. Down onto the mound. So we are just starting to get a pretty good layer built over the top of this mound. And in case you were wondering, yes, Grant and I are paying very close attention to where Sean is at all times, and he is doing the same thing. So safety first. That's good, Sean. Hey, hit this upper area with some water right here. For the, yeah, all that up there. Get that a little bit. Back and forth, back and forth. to get this mound graded out today because I have to get the monitoring wells done, and I got another job to move to next week. Can't be dilly-dallying. Grant found the fence yesterday with the back end of the skid steer. Luckily it was a tiny nick. Alright. We'll keep doing this for another couple All right, getting the dirt graded out here mostly. Rough graded anyways. And was able to scrounge up enough material from up here, topsoil, to maintain about a 5% grade from the sump tank riser all the way across the top of the mound. So what the homeowner wanted, so we were able to do that for him. That way he's got, instead of a mound, he's got kind of like a plateau out here. So he's gonna do some planting and maybe have a sitting area out here. Would be kind of nice. But I'm gonna throw some water on this. I'm gonna hop on the skid steer, do some smoothing about just with the bucket, just moving a small amount of material. There's a little low spot here, just backblading. And then I'm gonna throw on the grader attachment and really have some fun. So I'm excited to use that again. And I think it's gonna work really slick here for smoothing this out really nice. So let me throw some water down on this real quick. High right there. Much so. So it looks like we got one high spot kind of right between us and the laser right there, just slightly high. So I think I'm going to start my passes with that grading attachment from that end down there and come across this way and push the little excess off this edge right here and see how that goes. All right, I got a job I got to go look at, so we're going to pick this back up tomorrow morning. Alright, so I got this well put together. This is just a little test cap at the bottom. Use just a little bit of tape and transition glue to keep that held into place. So we have our slotted well screen pipe. Again, that's 0.020 millimeter slotted coupling. Our ABS solid pipe all the way to the top. Female cleanout adapter. And that's just going to drop in our hole like so. And the top of this female cleanout adapter, per these plans, is going to be above grade by 2 inches or so. And we're going to taper the concrete down to the edge. Before we do any concrete work though, we're going to set this and pour sand in the hole around the pipe until the sand reaches about the mid seam of this coupling. And we're going to jiggle the pipe around a little bit, let that sand settle. So the sand will be around our perforated section. Then we're going to have a small layer of bentonite chips. The bentonite chips during winter will expand and create a tight seal around this well. And then the rest is going to be concrete all the way up to the top. That concrete is going to be a cone-like shape here at the top of the female cleanout adapter. So yeah, we'll just slope that concrete down and that's going to be it. It's nice when you're drilling to have somebody else watching the angle of your drill bit at a 90 degree from your point of view. But I can hop on and off and do it. Well, that's looking good, Grant.
Thank you.
So I did a couple of these out here and I thought I did okay, but Grant did way better than me. He's got the magic touch. Look how nice that turned out right there. Good job, Grant. I swear the phone never stopped ringing today. It was hard to get as much stuff done as I needed to. And I'm kind of a little bit out of breath, not because I'm out of shape, but because I was just raking a bunch of area over here while these guys were getting that well in. We got a little bit more concrete to go right here. Almost done out here, almost done. We got some straw to spread, some seed to spread. So getting close, getting close. All right, let's get back to work. All right, got our monitoring wells done. It's kind of usually a situation where when you're doing monitoring wells, you know, you have the cap on there, but usually you get a little bit of concrete juice, if you will, in the threads. So I like to unscrew them, clean them, clean those threads out. Sean and Grant both did that. They did a great job. But this is where we're at. It's the end of the week again, the end of this video. Got all this backfill done. I was kind of hoping to get this straw spread, but just a few things happened, and that is what it is. So we'll get the straw spread next week. In next week's video, we're going to be doing a short sewer line up over here, a temporary sewer line, and we're going to stub that up. We're going to make a little pad for his Airstream trailer. It's all going to be temporary. We're not going to be using a pad foot or anything to really compact it in the way it would need to be done properly, but we're going to make them a temporary pad. And we're also going to base rock it, and that'll be next week's video, at least Monday and Tuesday. Then we're off to another job after that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.